To go? You ready to go? Yeah. Morena. So this morning we'll be hearing from staff about their is this the right one? Their mobilisation in the Tony Kid regarding the South Island National Rugby League bid. Now, so this is being recorded, and it's not a forum for the public to provide input into decisions or to bring other matters to the attention of council. If a member of the public does want to provide input, please, you're welcome to contact staff and they can help you to have your say. So on that note, I will welcome Tony to do some introductions. Thank you.
Thank you, Pauline. Is it okay I call you Pauline?
You can.
Or Deputy Mayor?
Yes, no, you can call me Pauline, that's fine. And apologies from the Mayor who's absent today, but he'll catch up with us.
Thank you, Pauline. Actually, I'm not Tony Kidd. My name's Frank Endicott. Tony can't be here today. Otto Williams, who needs no introduction, of course, and Darren Littlewood.
Morning.
So just the three of us, a hard-working team. Yeah. Firstly, Pauline, just want to thank you for the opportunity, you and the council, for us to present this case for a South Island NRL franchise based here in Christchurch. It's something we've been dreaming about for years and years, and we want that to come to fruition. I see this as one of the most exciting opportunities this city has ever seen. What it will bring into this city it's huge. And if I could just touch on a couple of the reasons, the pathways for our young people in Christchurch. They play rugby league here as kids, and they end up in the good ones end up in Australia. You know, where a franchise here would mean they can stay here with their families, you know, and play here, and it would be huge for them and their families, and what it would bring into this city. We envisage around 50 million per season. There's a lot of money, so it's a win-win both ways. An NRL franchise based here would bring worldwide interest, and bring a lot of visitors into our beautiful city. The NRL chairman, Mr. Peter V'landys, has made it clear he wants an 18th, 19th and 20th franchise before 2030. Now, the soonest of those will be in a couple of years' time, in 2026. And then the other two will follow after that. He's made it very clear he wants 20 teams in the competition. I wouldn't be lying. I'm saying now that Papua New Guinea, well, the three main contestants for this position is us here in the South Island, Perth in Australia, and Papua New Guinea. Now, Papua New Guinea is favourite to get the 18th franchise, and I'm pretty sure that's certain. The main reason for that is they have the great advantage of being funded by the Australian government. and there's no secret to know why. I mean, they've got some rich minerals in Papua New Guinea, as we all know, and they're battling China for those minerals. So it goes down well with Papua New Guinea to have a franchise there. It wouldn't be as friendly as it would be here, but it makes sense that, you know, with all that funding from the Australian government, that they will get that next bid. We hope to present such a good presentation to the NRL that will be next cab off the rank, the 19th franchise. Obviously, we're in early days at the moment. We've already completed a lot of work. Believe me, there's a lot of work gone into this, and there's a lot more to do. And we're pretty confident of coming up with a successful bid. Our goal in the meantime is to gain all the support we can from local councils, businesses, iwi, investors and stakeholders. That's the main thing we're looking for at the moment, is support. With the covered stadium that we have building in Christchurch at the moment, which is the most exciting concept we're seeing here for a long, long time. You just can't wait to get it up. And the interest and support shown from around the South Island, not just Christchurch, but from around the South Island, because this is a South Island bid based in Christchurch. We have plenty to offer. And Mr. Peter Volandis has already said they are wanting a team from the South Island of New Zealand. They actually want us to be in. They see, we would be the only NRL franchise with a covered stadium, which is something that would encourage players to come here. It's such a big thing for our bid. We also understand that there is another South Island bid in competition to us from here. We encourage competition. We're not frightened of it. And it just shows the interest that people want an NRL franchise in the South Island, whether it's them or whether it's us. If they happen to get the bid, hope they don't, but if they do, then we'll be the first to shake their hands, congratulate them and support them. We're just here today to give you a brief background of our goals and our progress to date, and hopefully gain your support of our bid, because it would be a great achievement and accolade for our city and us. So if I just leave that there, because I go on all day and I don't think I should waste people's time, and pass it on to Darren.
Well, I admire your enthusiasm. It's actually causing a lot of vibrancy in the chamber, so good on you.
Oh, thank you. I am.
More to come.
Yeah. So my name is Darren Littlewood. I'm not from these parts, as you can tell from my dulcet Yorkshire accent. I'm from Leeds, but I've been living in Christchurch for 2 years, but in New Zealand for 5 years. So I'm actively head of partnerships and commercial within the bid team. That's our bid team up on the slide up there. We've got Tony Kidd, who's our CEO, who can't be with us today because he's teaching at a local school. We've got Potter Williams, obviously Frank, Dwayne Farr, and also we brought in Colin Groves as a board member as well, who brings a huge amount of experience from the corporate sporting world, which is he's another Englishman as well. So we've got a mixture of nationalities within our bid, but we feel it's a rugby league bid that's got a lot of experience around the game that can bring in other what we're trying to get from this bid with a team that we've built. Frank touched on the expansion. Peter Volandis has been talking around the different teams and structures around how it's going to be done. We will be ready as a bid for March 26 season if we were to be selected, and with the stadium opened just after that in April, we were hoping to be playing our home games in that new stadium, which we will touch on later. But the NRL, we are talking to the NRL higher management directly, and we've had confidence that the bid process is coming, and we are being acknowledged as one of the front runners from New Zealand and also the other bids that are there. So we have had that acknowledgement off the NRL. Just touching on the sort of business numbers around what we've been looking at. We do get a grant from the NRL that's in and around the 20 million mark. We know the cost numbers. We've been working on actually how it runs to run an NRL franchise, what sponsorships will generate from what local teams have done in Christchurch, and what we look at where we've done the numbers based on 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, 25,000 as well. So it would be a profitable organisation, but we will look at building a non-for-profit pathways and a charitable as part of the model that we're trying to create within Christchurch, which will put putting money back into the grassroots of rugby league in Christchurch and the South Island. Just to give you the feel for the NRL, very profitable organisation, running big profits over the last 23. They are seen as the biggest sporting organisation in Australasia, with the numbers that Peter Volandis and his team have been running, just around some numbers up there. So but it's been massively growing in New Zealand as well as a sport over the last, God knows how. It's been a strong sport here in anyway over the last 25 years. So these are the partners that we've worked on. We're working with. So Simpson Grayson have joined our legal team and advisory in how we're working with investment. We've also partnered with Apollo Projects around designing a training facility, and they've given us that assistance with what that looks like, which I've been leading that piece of work as well. We've also, our CFO is based over in New York, so we've also had New York students working with us to produce some data that we'll go into. So I'm working on international investors that we're looking at to come into to back this franchise. We've also partnered with Laura Ferguson, Brain Injury Trust, because that is a big monkey in the room when it comes to the NRL and rugby league in general, and even rugby union as well. And they have also partnered with Canterbury Rugby League as well. So we see that as a big piece of work that we need to work on, which is going to be part of the game, and it is part of the game now with LHIA criteria. But we feel Laura Ferguson giving us some real structure around how we report that. That's a big piece that we want to work with them on.
Okay, so as part of our process, we're seeking accreditation with NZTE so we can have access to investors to support the bid. As you can appreciate, this bid doesn't happen on its own. Neither does it happen with just the support of our fans. We actually need significant investment into developing the bid and also into developing the club and the franchise going further. So this, we look to be accredited to them, I think, in the next 3 or 4 weeks or so, and then we will have access to the investment that NZTE, the profile of investors that NZTE have at their fingertips. And I just enter. Yeah. What I wanted to talk about too is the significant community piece that goes along with our bid. Frank touched on it. We are not just about the development of rugby league, although we are all about the development of rugby league across the South Island. What we're really about is ensuring that the talent that comes out of the South Island has an opportunity to stay in the South Island. What you may not know is that 26% of the players within the NRL are from Aotearoa, New Zealand. And what happens with the development folk that go overseas, they don't have the best of support, and their careers aren't well supported, and they often fall by the wayside. The key feature of our bid is that we want to grow the talent here in the South Island, and we want to keep it here, and that's a key plank of ours. That's our point of difference. The other point of difference for us is that as part of our offering, we want to be able to provide high performance opportunities to people across the Pacific. But we can only do that if we have an NRL franchise that is sympathetic to customary practice, to culture, to language. So that'll be a big feature of how we go forward. We're currently looking at support from Ngāi Tahu. Ngāi Tuahuriri have been asked to provide the cultural narrative for our franchise, and we've outreached into the Pacific to ensure that if they send their young people to us, they know that they will be treated well and they are basically coming home. So that is a feature of the club going forward.
So this is one of what we see as the jewel in the crown of our bid, is this brand new shiny stadium. And we've had conversations with talking to the Dolphins, who were the 17th team. We've spoken to the 16th team as well, Gold Coast, and past bids that have come from New Zealand. I think if they've had this stadium, it would have been a different story on these bids. So it's all about timing. We've been talking about this for a number of years now, but the timing of this amazing state-of-the-art brand new stadium being built in the city, and us to be able to play there 10 times a year is really setting us apart from these other bids that we've got. And Peter V'landys is fully aware. They've just been in Vegas for the opening 2 games that were played in LA Raiders Stadium in Vegas under a roof when a storm passed through, and they didn't even know that it were happening. So And again, we'll probably have that in that stadium as well, with the Christchurch weather as well for the time of the year. But it's massive for us to really push this and be part of our bid. And we're working with Danny and Caroline and their team around what that looks like for that full game day experience that we're going to have. And it's massive that we've got that relationship with Danny and his team of what we're trying to get from it. And obviously it's coming into our data that we're working closely with them on what this looks like. So it's amazing that we've got that in our armory to utilize.
We've got a lot of data, so we're not going to go through it all, but we're very clear about who plays league, who supports league. But what we want to talk about is that there is a wider support base in the South Island that is not just about league fans. It's about people who want an alternative experience. We're picking up a lot of fans and supporters from rugby players from across a whole lot of codes. And I think the NRL have been really smart in the way they've developed their game. It is much more about family, much more about entertainment. And we know from the 2 games that we've had here in the last little wee while that we could fill a stadium, and we could fill a stadium constantly. We know that is it's going to be of huge benefit to Christchurch, that we will be able to do that on a regular basis. The other thing, if we're successful, we probably will have upwards of 10 home games here. So that's of huge importance to Christchurch as a city, because that also means people coming in from overseas. It means greater numbers accessing the hospitality services in Christchurch City before and after game day. As I say, there's a lot of data. You've got these slides. You can analyse that at your leisure. We're not going to get into that too much, but just the next slide, I think, is the one that talks about the fan base. We're calling them the rugby league fanatics, and that comes from rugby and rugby league. So there's a very transitional group of people here who will come to not only rugby but to rugby league as well. And that's a group of people that may not necessarily be rugby only fanatics.
So we have employed Gemba, who are a very well respected data analysing company. They've also been working with Otaki Venues with a stadium, so it made sense that we work with Gemba. So they've been employed and paid to generate this data, because it's what we're writing towards to put in our bid submissions. So there's some, but what we have found from this Gemba data that we are sort of flicking through, it shows that Christchurch and the South Island is a very good option, and it's sustainable, and it can work with the numbers that we're working with. We have done case studies against Canberra Raiders, very similar size city, capital city of Australia, and looking at the numbers of that and how they were doing as well. But we've actually got more tourists coming into the city, because it's the gateway to the South Island. Talking with Christchurch Airport and also Christchurch NZ, getting some really good data from them. So we've collaborated with all the sort of local government agencies to give us this data that's then produced this report. So it's been real good work to date that we're working with council, and we want to keep that relationship going. But there is this, we know that it can work.
Right. So over to you guys, really, in a sense of how you can help us. We've just got a couple more slides to get through. So what we're looking at, is we're looking at the 3 pillars. We're looking at how you can support us, the data and the resources that you might be able to support us with. That is around the information you're able to provide us. And the resources might be, assisting us in terms of the opportunities that exist within council to support this. And that may just be advice or whatever may be available. And also we're looking at funding to see whether there are any opportunities in any regard to assist with funding. What we are really clear, though, is that we'd really like you to support our bid, but we know there are other bids there. We want you to just look at the opportunities that come from a second NRL team based in Christchurch. And as Frank has said, whoever wins it is going to be huge benefits for Christchurch. We'd really hope you support us, but we're not here to say endorse our bid. We're here to say please support the concept of an NRL team based here in Christchurch. And we really hope that if we are the ones that win that bid, that you'll support our bid and our team going forward. We would like to see what we could ascertain from council in terms of things like demographics, health and wellbeing, infrastructure information, any kind of market information or analysis that you might have, and any financial data that might support the bid. And we are working with various officers across council in that already. I might hand this back to Darren, who knows a little bit more about the funding options.
Yeah, well, just on that training facilities, we are looking at a state-of-the-art training facility, which will be a school of excellence for Christchurch and our pathways. And also, we have been working with other clubs, high performance clubs in the city, in football or soccer, as in that space. And also, there's been conversations as well with other high-end franchises within the city as well. And we are looking at a 5-hectare site to put. We have done a number of designs where we've done a 2-pitch, 1 training facility, a 4-pitch, 2 training facilities, and a 6-pitch, 2 training facilities and an accommodation, because I got told to shoot for the stars. So I've gone for the stars in what I've designed at that top end. And we have got a number of locations that we're looking at, but it's really what that looks like from a lease. Is it a rent to buy, and sort of different situations that we've got to look at. So I've done a lot of work with Apollo Projects and also a bit of assistance from Becca as well on the sort of design as well. So we have done a lot of work in that space, but that is the next thing that we're going to be looking at of how that looks on a council site in Christchurch. So that is still to come. There's a lot of work in the background, but we need to get the process right within council before it becomes public. That's something that is really to give us that, where you got Napuna Wai, that's the training facility for community. And we know that's the Canterbury Rugby League's home, but we want this next state-of-the-art facility is the high performance centre for rugby league in Christchurch, which can bring in Pacific, it can bring in local. And actually, we've had a letter of endorsement from the Leeds Rhinos this weekend as well about bringing players in from the UK, and that's where I've got that relationship as well. So we are looking at these pathways that we want to work with, and that's what we're going to be looking at in the next part of the work that we're doing.
Perhaps if we hand back to Frank to finish off, I think we.
Yeah, I know there's some questions over here, so I won't hold you up. Don't worry. Just an apology first. I forgot to introduce the man on my right, Malcolm Hum, Chairman of Canterbury Rugby League. Sorry.
Hi, Malcolm.
CEO. Chairman, CEO.
All right, so are you ready for some questions now?
Look, if I could just touch on for 2 minutes on some of the present players in the NRL that come from the South Island. Jermaine Asako from Aranui, playing at the Dolphins. He was last year. He was the top try scorer, top point scorer, and voted the best winger in the competition. And he started here in Aranui. Jordan Ricky, playing at the Brisbane Broncos, going great at the moment. Terrific player. Come from Hornby. Faumu Brown from Hornby at St George Dragons, and Griffin Neame, the big red-headed player from West Coast, comes from also played at Horseville. Yeah. Current NRL women players from the South Island: Hayley J. Orban-Maunsell and Shante Polkle. And of course, we plan to have a ladies team in the NRL also. Plus a reserve grade team and a Colts team under them for your depth. And just to finish off with some of the past NRL players that come from the South Island, some of the bigger names: David Kidwell from Hornby, also ended up a Kiwi coach. Simon Mannering, one of our greatest players ever, from Nelson. Brent Todd from Linwood. The late Quinton Pongia, one of my favourites, from Linwood on the West Coast. And the last but not least was a player that mostly no one in the room would have heard of, was Billy Noonan. Billy Noonan, he's not up there, but he come from Linwood. I played against him back in 1967. That's my age, but he was the first player to go to Australia, to the Canterbury Bulldogs over there, and really pave the way for South Island and Christchurch players. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Oh, excellent. So a couple of questions now. James, you first.
Yeah, thank you.
Then Kelly, Jake, and Tim.
That's really
Yeah.
exciting, and I think we would all be, obviously in tremendous support for around the concept of a South Island NRL team bid based in Christchurch. But there's probably quite a simple question that I imagine has a complex answer. But the obvious one for me is, what differentiates you from the other South Island NRL bid, and why can't you just join forces with them to double the effort and not cannibalise each other and halve it?
Do you want me to answer that?
I'll just put my 2 bobs worth in and I'll pass over. It's a great question, because a lot of people are asking that, and obviously there are personalities involved, and we won't get into them. Look, at the last resort of it, come down to that to get the franchise, we would certainly look at anything, I'm sure, wouldn't we? But at the moment, we feel as though we're strong enough to take this bid out ourselves, the way things are going. Good question, though.
We have had conversations with David Moffat right before he actually launched the case. He actually approached us to be involved in our bid, and there's stuff under the NDA that we probably can't come out and say, but we just didn't fit for both parties to be involved. So, and we didn't understand we're going to go off and then within 48 hours launch the case and go in that way. So, and then we were all sort of just carrying on with where we were. There has been conversations in the last few weeks around it to try and potentially look at bringing it together, but they've not really come to any fruition. So, but again, there's doors that we've opened with some NRL where there's Peter Landers in the NRL are making a decision, and there is options for even amalgamating with other Sydney clubs that are not in the NRL as well. So we've looked at as options, and if we're told that we've got to go together to pull it together by the NRL, there's probably a conversation we need to have to do that. So with what we've got in place, and with Frank and Potter and the team that we've built, we're bringing in new additions recently. We feel that we've got the right team that we need to take this forward. But like I said, never say never in a situation, but we feel it's just the way that we're working, it's just not going to work for us at this stage.
Yeah, it's not as if the door is closed. We continue to keep the door open, and we want to continue to have conversations. But yeah, it depends which court the ball is in.
So Kelly?
Yeah, thanks very much. Incredibly exciting, and thanks for your commitment to Christchurch, Canterbury, and the South Island. It's really great to hear. My question is about kind of our role at City Council. Do you have like a single point of contact with council staff that you're sort of dealing with?
Yeah, well, I've been sort of as head of partnerships. I've been dealing a lot with that because I'm based here and being able to deal with David Bailey and Nigel Cox within the Parks team. I've been dealing with Danny and Caroline and Otaki Venues. I've been working with Gemma in Christchurch NZ, and we're working with the airport as well. So I've been quite across all different council entities to try and work with them, and then that's where we were looking at this meeting being a next step with that, and then actually then looking at a working group where we were going to do presentation to a working group and being involved in that, and then I'm working with Malcolm at Canterbury Rugby League as well. So I'm just dealing with all these people on the ground trying to, and then because we had with Potter's experience.
We're not shy, Kelly. We've been reaching out, and we thought this was the natural next step.
It's all about relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we've
got
been
the plan.
Yeah.
So I guess the following question is how can we do it better? How can we make it easier for you to get to where we all need to go? I
think we're doing pretty well with this training. I've been really quite impressed with what we've done today. We've had a few bumps in the roads with where we're looking for the training facility to be, but it's always been open and really quite refreshing to deal with a proactive team who have always been very good to pick up a phone and we talk to and what we need to get to this point. Like Frank said, there's been a hell of a lot of work that's been done in the last sort of 6 to 12 months as well. So, and we're just maintaining that, where again we'll be sitting down with council about what this training facility looks like, and that's the next big piece, to get that agreed in principle of what that looks like. And then we are then very busily, heavily working with Christchurch NZ as a point of contact with Gemma and as well, to try and get that data for the bid through the airport, and that will make where Christchurch NZ with that contact to deal with the airport and the other Ototaki venues as well, is that where we got told to deal with Gemma, and that's been really good as well. So it's been good to the point, and we're just got to maintain that conversations and relationships.
And sharing data. That's
fantastic.
a great thing.
Thanks.
Yeah, and a little more than that too. I mean, if this is something that really appeals to you, we want you to be talking about it, because the next piece of work for us is actually driving the community campaign, and you will see that shortly come out. So we really want you as councillors to be supporting that whatever happens with whatever team is successful with the bid. That's really what we've come here to ask you to do.
Great, thank you. But Jake, did you have a question?
Yeah, I did. And I asked my question as knowing almost nothing about rugby league, but my understanding, my assumption is that most of the NRL fan base here in Christchurch are currently fans of the Warriors. There may obviously be an audience there in terms of league and the opportunity to convert. Do you see that as an impediment, that existing fan base?
I get, well, I'll let Frank answer shortly, but as the second most significant Warriors fan in Christchurch, looking at the first most important Warriors fan in Christchurch, I can tell you without a word of a lie that the South Island will turn on a dime. There will be nothing more exciting than to see a North Island, South Island clash of the code at our stadium. And that's what we really, can you imagine a Warriors versus a South Island team there? It will reignite the North Island, South Island rivalry to a really great extent. I tell you, people will be shifting teams in a heartbeat, and NRL fans always have a second team.
There wouldn't be enough seats in the stadium.
If I can get Taylor and Mum across the line on that one, I know that the bid will be
we have had conversations where people have just randomly talking to people around this whole bid, and they've actually said there's diehard Warriors fans actually said in dinners with family that they're actually going to turn to, if this South Island team gets admitted into NRL, which we definitely hope it will, that they will become South Island fans of the team. So so
I want to ask Andre, who would he support?
Well, I mean, I'm happy to put a commitment on the record as a Warriors season ticket holder of 5 years. The day we get an NRL South Island team is the day I buy a season ticket for that team. And also, it's 2024. Monogamy is, not 2008. It's very out of date. There's no reason you have to stay monogamous with one team either. So yeah, that's my commitment now.
So we're kind of getting close to the time, but we've got another 5 questions. So can you make them pretty snappy, Tim?
Yes, thank you. 2 quick ones. You mentioned about our support for your bid, but I'd like to get some information from our staff, because it must be really hard for our staff to be dealing with 2 teams trying to keep that honest and open. So I do appreciate the 3 guys at the back, the CNZ, BO and CCC. So I guess, Frank, I've always been a great fan, so, but I do think we need to have some understanding of that as we go forward. The second one is, Frank, you used to take the Bulls up and give the North Island a bit of a bloody nose, which is fantastic. Always loved that. But it was really the Canterbury Bulls, but Canterbury West Coast has always been solid, as we've seen from the guys up there. At some time in the future, I'd really like to understand that combining the South Island, because that's given us our strength. I personally believe, like above the North Island, they're separate. We're one family, we might fight amongst ourselves, but if anyone comes across the ditch, we're in, And so I really would like a better understanding of that. at some stage.
Let Frank,
Yeah.
let Frank.
Over a cup of tea, wouldn't it?
Might be a good idea, take it offline. Aaron? Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, I'm one of those people that watches 8 games a weekend, and I'm always back in the team with the most Kiwis. So I am your fan base.
Yeah.
So you didn't point out when you had the schoolboys team up there. You didn't mention that's actually St Thomas's winning the National Rugby League secondary schools,
Absolutely.
which a lot of people in Christchurch aren't aware of. So that's our base. Is that when you win the national comp? I mean, that's phenomenal. So I think the timing's perfect. Are you happy if the council are openly supporting both bids until one's locked in?
I think you've got to. I think that's what we're having with all the different people. We're ahead of the game. I'm 6 months in front of the other bid with what we've been doing today, with everything that we're doing. But what we're trying to propose, and within this room, we've got a lot of work that's around pathways, and what we're trying to do is build a rugby league team here that's built for the community, built for everything around what we're trying to do for the game in rugby league. So, but we know there's another bid there, and until we either one falls well, whatever, you've got to be impartial to give that information. But we're being a bit of a different space of what we're generating is probably where the IP sits for the bid, and that's what we're doing and what we will concentrate on. But we know that Danny, everybody else have got to deal with the other bid until these bid submissions get submitted, which we're expecting this year.
One of our real commitments is supporting the development of league across the South Island, because one of the messages that's coming loud and clear is that where are the pathways for our senior players, right? Where are the competitions for our senior teams? We want to be the catalyst for that to happen. We want to be the catalyst because we'll be driving more people to the game and we'll be driving a stronger fan base. So league in the South Island could only get better.
Absolutely. Awesome.
We've got Councillor Peters on Zoom.
Thank you, Pauline. Quick question. I'm hearing South Island mentioned as the NRL bid. Are you sort of in cahoots with the likes of Dunedin to perhaps have a second indoor stadium?
I've been to Dunedin in the last 6 weeks. We've had meetings with Dunedin around playing a couple of games down there. So we are in conversations with Dunedin venues of what that looks like. So there would be plans to potentially to go and play games down there, but it's got to be financially viable as well to make sure that we can make it work for us to go down there. So that is it's definitely options. I've also been into the NZCIS in Wellington as well. I've had meetings with Malcolm Gillies and Jamie Tout in Wellington because I was on the Wellington Rugby League board for 2 years before I come to Christchurch. I've got a relationship with Wellington, and we see Wellington as a pathway to the team as well. And even Auckland Rugby League have endorsed us. So we see this South Island team being open to a whole of New Zealand, the same as the Warriors are. I don't think the Warriors will drop NZ Warriors because they were originally the Auckland Warriors, but they are the New Zealand Warriors. So we would be a South Island team based out of Christchurch, but we're opening the pathways to the whole country. So
Awesome.
we have been talking to multiple locations lower of Hamilton.
And Tyler?
Kia ora. 2 really quick ones. Ex-Hornby Panther here. I just wanted to ask around the difference between yourselves and the other bidder. They seem to be quite substantial differences in the way that your communication style is. Does the other bid have endorsement from the local rugby league clubs?
Do you want me to answer that? So just some background. So the South Island NRL bid came to the Canterbury Rugby League board before 4 to 5 months ago, seeking their support. The Canterbury Rugby League board, having viewed the business plan, supported that. The other NRL bid has come to the Canterbury Rugby League board to present, but haven't at this point asked for support.
Okay. And the next question is around local investment. So I noticed when I was playing in Canterbury when I was growing up, the West Coast and Otago seemed to be quite substantially weaker in terms of the way that we had our games, the field condition, all of those things. how do you envision growing those games in Otago and the West Coast, for example?
I think we have with training camps and sending players and coaches into these regions and setting up pathway around school holidays and having this world-class training facility in Canterbury, but also taking coaches down into these areas and regions and really pushing into these communities. But again, it's working out the league clubs where we've talked to every single league community game and organised it, Canterbury Rugby, Wellington Rugby League, and all these different rugby leagues across the country, and everybody's endorsed us in a way that we are that sort of league bid of choice for them, because we want to push back into these league communities with having this off the ground, because this is the nursery of what we're trying to do. And Canterbury Rugby League have done a great job. Wellington Rugby League have done a lot of great work. Auckland Rugby League have been a powerhouse for years. So and even with Southern Zone now, they're now working with the Warriors, but we're also talking to them as well about how we can work from when their agreement is in place, because Canterbury Rugby League have got a deal with the Bulldogs for another 2 years, but off the back of that, we want them to have that allegiance to us, and it's that pathway. So it's something that is going to be a big piece of work. Frank is massively involved. We've got Tony Kidd, Dwayne Farr, our ex-CEO and chairman of Canterbury Rugby League, so they know grassroots. We'll have a actual football team franchise. We'll have a non-for-profit pathways, and that's exactly what this will do for the community, and even a charitable trust as well. So within the structure that we're building for now, we're actually looking at the non-for-profit being headed up by Dwayne and Tony, and then Frank being involved as well. So we've got a massive plan of what we're going to do in that pathway space, but it's
to actually be a little clearer too, as well as part of the high performance centre, as opportunities to train coaches and administrators and managers and the structure around league itself. But it's also in our biggest stream, actually having accommodation that we can bring people here to train in a high performance centre. But the whole notion of us supporting the development of league and the redevelopment of the competition is really important too. So if we can bring back, we don't have competitions for our top teams. If we can develop to such a stage where we're reintroducing those competitions, then we'll be going in terms of the development of league across the South Island. That can only be good for the whole country. Fantastic.
Looking at the Rhinos relationship as well, they've got a huge foundation and what they've done. So we are talking to them around the structure of multiple franchises and they're what they do as well. So that's been a really nice being able to lean on that for what we need to bring into the South Island as well.
A great answer. Yanni, might make the answers just a wee bit quicker because we're out of time.
Thank you for all the work that you're doing. It's really good to see the work and the opportunity. Just two questions from me. One is, you've given us some interesting information around your business model, but no one's said how much the establishment costs will be. Are you able to share, given that it's a public meeting as well? So just let you know that, I don't know.
How much do you run the franchise over a year?
Well, no, what's the setup cost or the startup cost that you need to provide? Is there a kind of a ballpark figure?
Yeah, well, we've done seed funding to a point. We've done a stage one of the bid process at the moment, which has been self-funded by the team. And then we've got another where we're going to the second stage to write the bid. There's looking about $250,000 to do that, which gets to that point where it's bid submission. But then you've got like $30 million to have as a sort of what we're trying to take to the NRL of what we need to run this football team from day one as well. And we know from talking to the Dolphins around what it costs for them to do year one setup before they actually before they even kicked a football in the NRL. So we're working with the Dolphins and what it took them, and they went in 2 years ago. So
about $30 million.
30 million, yeah. And then we're looking at the training facility being outside of that to build the training facility.
And the next question was, I don't get a time frame or a timeline of the key decision points. So are you able just to give us a sense of the key time?
It's a little bit of a moving feast, but our sense is that the NRL will offer a bid process shortly, within the next
about August.
About August potentially, and at that time we'll have a greater sense of where they are sitting in terms of the 18th, 19th and 20th franchises. So and as we explained earlier, there is a little bit of political discussion around the 18th franchise, but when they actually come to a point of delivery in terms of Papua New Guinea, is not locked in. So there will be a team 26, there will be a team in 28, and there will be a team in 30. They may be the 18th, 19th, and 20th franchises, or they may not be. Just really depending on who is ready to go. Okay. And the NRL
Sorry,
decision.
I was just if we had to make a decision about a trading facility or support, or I was just trying to understand from our point of view.
So if we were successful in this current iteration, we would need to have a team ready to go November next year, right? That would have to be starting to develop
Pre-season training,
pre-season, and then ready to be the kickoff game at the stadium in 2026.
Yeah.
Great. And last question, Andre, very quickly.
I have no further questions. Keep up
Thank
the
you.
great
Well
work.
done. Hey, look, your enthusiasm is amazing. Your knowledge and breadth of knowledge and your vision for what you're doing is absolutely outstanding. So thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lord.
We'll help where we can.
Have a good day.
You too. Thank you. And so we've just got one more short one from the Parks in-house mobilisation team. I don't know who wrote this, but it's shocking.
Yeah.
In-house mobilisation and the Tony kids again. That got me really cocked up.
Yeah, no, we've got
I don't
a
make
few
it
options on the
but I'll have
table.
to check it because that is actually
So we're just gonna
mobilisation is this one here.
we're just building towards where we're trying to get next steps within council in the bid where we're looking at location wise where I've done some planning.
And no, we've just got a 15-minute briefing.
Hi, how are you?
Well, how are you?
Good to see you.
Where is Andrew?
Right there. Yeah, Andrew will be in the middle. So we be on the side. No back row. Right, dive in there. We've lost the deputy mayor. Everybody's left the building.
No worries. That was in the same site as that, so she realised that she was now coming out of the and things like that and saying that. Yeah, but for this one, when it's not. Because, because she all sitting there. Righty ho, ready to go. Welcome, Andrew, and your
Kia ora, thank
team
you.
or your fan club. I don't know what you're going to call them. Everybody, welcome.
Thank you, and we'll do our very, very best to make up time. A bit of a speed dating session. So councillors will remember that in July 2023, staff presented an options report, and that was because the contract was due to be either re-tendered at that point in time. The four options were put on the table: go to market, put everything back out in the market, carry on with the hybrid model, modify the hybrid model, or bring parks maintenance for community parks in-house. The decision was made at that time to bring it all in-house. 10 months on, here we are. I'd like to welcome the team behind you. Very important, this team. You guys are going to get to know a lot of these people. and you'll see why in a second. So hopefully there's a couple of minutes for you to have a casual catch up with these guys and identify some of the key people that will be working in your wards in particular. Right, I'm just going to do a quick intro. Al Hardy is going to then kick in, and then I'll do a quick wrap up. And we've got Vita who's going to drive the ship, and she's been given open license if we're talking too much just to hit the next slide. So away we go. Okay, plant and equipment. So just really quickly, obviously we've been under a lot of pressure in the 10 months to work out how much plant equipment we need to operate in the city. There's over 1,000 parks that need to be maintained. The vast majority of it is electric. The only non-electric are our transport trucks. Unfortunately, there are some electric trucks in the market, but they're not capable of carrying the weight that we need at this point in time. And we have one mower that is covered by the insignia there that is required for our land drainage basins because of the slopes. Everything else is electric, including most of the hand equipment as well. Sports fields, there's not a lot of electric tractors available on the market. There's certainly nothing really here in New Zealand at the moment, but we do have hybrids, which is quite exciting. They're also equipped with GPS and a little dashboard that you can see in the image there. And what that does, it enables the tractor to ensure that it's not overlapping too much. So it absolutely minimizes waste of both time, money, cost, and fossil fuel use. So it's quite exciting that there's hybrid tractors now in the market. So I'm going to hand over to Al now. He's going to talk about, that one says places, that one says depots. There we go. But anyway, away you go.
Go ahead and hit that slide there. Thank you. So we're busy looking for a permanent home for all this new electric gear, and we've tried to spread evenly across the city to minimize travel and efficiency. So we've got a permanent depot plans to be built at Napunawai, just north of the motorway on the Napunawai site, and at Pages Road. There's some remodeling that we're going to do there on the Three Waters site. And then the Devotional depot. Thank you, Vita. This is a mock of the new build layout. And this one happens to be of the Napunawai or Wigram site, but all of them are going to be Napunawai Pages Road will look very, very similar. But these are 12 months away. So in the interim, we've got temporary depots planned for Pages Road. We've cleared out some space there, and we've leased a building at Cable Street in Sockburn to kind of emulate the needs that we're going to have permanently. So those pictures show some of the gear in the Cable Street site and the electrical fit outs for charging. So people, just click to the next one. So the staff behind me, we're going to hopefully wrap up really soon and allow some introductions so you can put much more solid names and faces together. But essentially there's 3 teams covering the my amenity or community parks areas and the sports field functions. The total full-time employees in community parks has gone from 3 in 2015 to 115. And that's made up of 6, including myself, managers and operations support people, and the various field operators. So there's 72 new staff coming, including 11 cadets and trainees. So this slide here shows basically the operational support. We've got 2 programmer and analyst and a technical advisor. And as you might expect with dealing with over 1,000 parks, there's quite a bit of new administration and operational support. So they'll be doing hybris ticket routing and work programming and changes in the system to allow our teams to operate. Next. So getting into the people, I know you all have these slides, but we've got 2 in the amenity teams, 2 big teams. Matt Arat up there is leading the one out of Pages Road and Devotional. And he's looking after those board areas below. Next. And just so you have a copy of more faces and get a bit more personal.
Hey,
Sorry?
as you read them out, Al, just quickly, we'll just get you guys to stand up.
Good idea.
Oh, I was
Yeah.
going to do that.
Yeah. Matt.
Okay. So Matt,
No.
Matterett,
Hey.
and so
rip them off.
Yeah. So team leader Kerry Bowen,
Okay.
team leader Peter King,
Hey.
How are you?
Good.
and then your supervisors under Kerry for. I don't know if Mario's here. I didn't see him earlier. Is Mario here? No, that's great. Sharon Watson,
Kia ora.
Crew Copta,
Kia ora.
Tommy Robinson,
Kia ora.
Blair Hemingston, and George Woodham. That's great.
So
Thank you.
as you can see in the presentation, there's a supervisor dedicated to each ward, or where they're too small, there's a bit of a combination.
So if you go to the next slide, that red line basically is the number of staff that we need for 1 July, but the rest of the vacancies basically will need heading into spring. So that just gives you an idea of the people, the actual operators, the Parks and Gardens maintenance officers that fill up those lines. So you might see some of them out. In the other operations team, we've got Kim Wood.
Kia ora koutou. Kia ora.
She's based out of the temporary location in Cable Street and then soon to be moved over to the Napunawai site when it's built. And those are her board areas there. And next slide. To show her two team leaders, Jeanette Martin.
Kia ora.
And absent today is Casio Nunez. He's on a bit of a holiday before the storm. We've got supervisors, Sonia Tiranu, and she's, I think, working in our contract right now. So she's with Rec Services, coming over to us after in a couple of weeks. Leno.
Kia ora.
Knows here. Will Sutherland. At Rec Services, that's right. Miles King.
Kia ora.
Vic.
Kia ora.
And Anshu.
Kia ora.
And then this shows the rest of the PGMO staff under Kim's team. That's mine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Into the sports fields. Righto. Not sure if Ash is here. I think Ash is still on holiday, isn't he?
Andy's here.
Andy Brown's here though. Where's Andy? Andy's sitting in Rupert's role as manager of Metropolitan Parks while Ru's head of parks at the moment. The team, the wider sports field team you can see there, we've got a team based at Hagley. There'll be a team based out at Ngāpunawai, and of course we've got Te Kaha Stadium coming on. So in about 12 months from now, we'll start the recruitment process for Te Kaha. So there's Andy's team, a bit of support there with Natasha in a new role as tech advisor for that team. So Natasha here?
Just working.
Busy working. Right, let's go. Let's rip into it. So same deal. We've got a full team already for sports fields. There's two areas that, as we've been sort of analysing how to kick this off from day one. What are the really critical areas that we have to hit the ground running? One of them is refuse management, obviously, and anything health and safety. And the other is we're right in smack in the middle of the winter sports field period. So we've got a full team joining us there. So that's really exciting. Keep going, thanks. How do we program it? We'll just flip through these slides quickly. It's, as you can imagine, quite challenging, but there's some key points there. The team sizes are based on asset volumes, but they work out pretty consistently. It's in terms of the asset and the volume between the Bromley and the Ngāpunawai site. It's about 52-48% of the asset, the way it balances out. There'll be the ability to share resources across teams and skills. Obviously, there's different skills, different people coming on board. health and safety is obviously a very important thing. So the training and development and induction is quite an intense process. And of course, we have to like anyone working in this space, the work program acknowledges the different demands at different seasonal trends. One of the good things that's come out of this is by the time we get to this time next year, we'll have a workforce that can go into planting programs and capital work when they come off the peak load of spring and autumn. That's a major cost benefit. We're going to get a lot more out of our capital dollar by having our in-house resource doing a lot of the planting programs, and the knowledge and the buy-in that you get from that. I'm not going to go into this stuff. There's a whole lot of work going on around programming. Every site, every activity. We've got some clever people, so 2 of whom are behind me, working with an external person to come up with a really amazing tool to make sure we hit all our targets. Service delivery risks. Obviously, a project like this in a short time frame has its risks. Everything in green has been delivered. Everything in orange, in theory, is going to arrive within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And everything in red will be delivered after the 1st of July. We've got some challenges there. The hybrid tractors were affected by the Baltimore Bridge that got knocked over. They couldn't leave. So there's been a bit of a workaround there. We'll just kick into the next slide, thanks. And so we've been working really hard, and Kim's been leading the process of coming up with a contingency plan. So we're moving plant around. We'll utilise whatever plant we can to make sure we cover those core activities. The other is people. The guys have been running an amazing program of first of all, we connected with the RS people that wanted to join. We took them through some field day assessments, then formal interviews. That was our first recruitment process. We then had an external one. We're about 2/3 of the way there. They've been very careful to make sure that we get the right people. This is all about people. The equipment's one thing, but the people are the more important. And a big driver all the way through has been that we're not going to operate the same way that contractors operate. We're going to work with communities. We need people that are well-rounded and are prepared to do anything they need to do within that park. We're not going to have staff that are, I only mow grass or I only do this. So that's a big work on. And obviously the school cadet program is a really important one. We're just about to commence some conversations with kids that think they might want to join our workforce and put them through a process that can then lead to a traineeship in either sports turf or horticulture. So we're very focused on having a pathway for the future. Be really cool if we didn't have questions and we had an opportunity for the guys to meet their councillors, if that's okay, unless you've got any really burning questions.
Is yours a burning question, Sarah? Is it a really quick one then? I'll allow one question.
Yeah, just I'd sent through a question on the Section 17A review because it was mentioned in the meeting the other day. So we're required to do a review at least every 6 years, and the last one was quite some time ago. I'm just saying, and I know there's a lot of work going on, but it's an additional check and balance on the work that's been happening in this space. When are we planning the next Section 17A?
For parks specifically?
For park, yeah.
We haven't got a date planned for that, but it certainly can be programmed. There's quite a few Section 17As that this council needs to do, not just parks.
Yeah.
The Section 17A we did led to the decision to bring the hybrid model, if you like. Yeah. Back in 2019 is when that one commenced. So yeah, the Section 17A covers, a very broad range of opportunities. Yeah. Everything from in-house to CCOs to working with other TLAs. So there's nothing on the horizon at the moment.
Yeah, Mary, if we could get an update on the program of Section 17As. Yep. I know in the past that we've had, if we've chosen for whatever reason not to do one, we've had to make a decision to do that. But it'd be really good yeah, to have a look. Thanks.
Thank you. Now, Andrew, we are kind of out of time. What is your plan for introductions? And
look, we'll do it another time.
I'm wondering
We'll find
if maybe
another
the relevant teams might go to the relevant community boards
Yep.
and say hi, because that would be really nice.
Yep,
And we
we
have
can do
met
that.
a lot of you today. Yeah. So I think perhaps we'll just
Sure.
move on. But thank you very much. And good luck with the whole new thing. It's incredibly complex when you see it laid out like that, when you just say simple words, bringing it in-house, and then you see what the reality is. But we're all convinced it's going to be a much better model.
Apologies, I should have said I was sitting in for Rupert. Rupert's on leave. Otherwise, Rupert would have been at the table.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Thanks, Councillor.